Hello and welcome. My name is Brian Johnston, and I'm the guy who's been emailing you and talking with you, whether it be a text message or through various different mediums. But I want to welcome you all to the Global Sport Leadership Program. This is going to be your first introduction, and we're going to go through some basic things and kind of get you ready for what's about to happen because things are going to move fast. 3 years seems like a long time, but it's really going to go by very quickly, and we're going to try to keep you focused and moving right along. So now that you're in the program and things are about to start, what do you do now? Well, first thing we need to do is register for classes. And you register for classes not the way that I did. Believe it or not, this picture you see was exactly how I registered at ETSU. We progressed from standing in line to using the phone to on the computer, and now you're actually going to use GoldLink. And so for each of you to register for class, you're going to go to goldlink.etsu.edu, and you'll be able to follow the prompts to register for classes on this website, and you'll use your ETSU username and password to get in. Once you get into GoldLink, you'll see that's how you'll manage everything from paying your bill to looking at if you were to any kind of financials that you need, looking at classes, registering for classes, anytime you want to know your progress towards degree. So that's a very helpful website. You can get on there and kind of play around. The next thing you have to do is get books, and for many of you, and we're going to talk about this later, it's going to be a little bit different. We don't have books stored in the library for this program because most of you aren't here. And so you're going to have the opportunity to get that book from somewhere online. Maybe you want to get it as a hard copy and order it. Maybe you want to have it electronic. You can look at these on your phone. You can look at them on your iPad. You can just use your computer. It's kind of up to you, whatever you feel comfortable doing. But the big thing that I can tell you is throughout this entire program, the most important thing that you can do is to not look ahead, because you want to get through the classes you're in and then move on to the next ones. Because if you start looking ahead, you'll start missing assignments and you'll start missing opportunities because you're thinking too far down the road. And that being said, let's go right into kind of what you're going to do this fall. So the first two classes are GSLD 6000 and 6100. And so you're going to have Leadership in Global Sport with Dr. Sander, and you're going to have Strategic Planning and Thinking with Dr. Hoff. These are two great classes. We've had 2 years of teaching these now, and so we feel like they're a very good introduction to the program. Gives you a great opportunity to get an idea of the instructors, what to expect, what kind of assignments you're going to do. And again, the entire time you're in this semester, you're going to have the temptation to kind of look ahead, but don't do that. Because once you're ready, you're going to get right into winter session in the spring. So winter session goes from December until January. So you will be taking classes through the Christmas break. The past 2 years, it just kind of worked out that way, that assignments were due on Christmas Day and New Year's Day. But to keep in mind that just because the assignment's due Christmas Day doesn't mean you have to wait till Christmas Eve to do it. So then we move on into spring semester, and we have leading external function and then research methods. So this first year, your traditional year anyway, is pretty good. I think you're going to get a lot of things that you want, and also some new things. I think the interpersonal relationships class in the winter will be a fun class. There's a lot of reading. And then when we get into the spring, for those of you who are in more external focused, you're really going to enjoy it. And to be quite honest with you, probably none of you are going to be looking forward to the research class, but we're going to do what we can to make it as enjoyable as possible and help you learn what you need to do to move forward. Then we get into May, and this is where it gets fun, because May is when we're going to go on our trip. And I'm sure that there are a million questions that you have about the trip, and I've got a million answers, but we don't want to give them to you right now because you got to get through these first few classes before we get to May. Be very patient, because I'm going to get you that information as soon as I can, and plenty of time for you to buy airline tickets and to, look ahead and look at the cities, and we're going to give you lots of information. We've had 2 great trips. We flew into Milan and out of Barcelona this past year, and the first year we flew into Munich and out of Amsterdam. And both experiences were absolutely amazing. Before we leave to go on this trip, I'm going to have some of the former students and recent graduates call you and let you know exactly what to expect there. Now, looking into summer, we have 2 classes. We have Global Governing Bodies and we have Sport and Society. So we'll come back from that trip and you'll have about a week, and then we'll jump right into summer school. And summer school will go for 10 weeks, just so you need to be prepared for that. It will go, and again, this is pretty concentrated, and for those first 2 years, you're going to go hardcore. Now, we're not going to talk about the second year because you haven't even really started the first year yet. So as you look at the program, make sure that you understand what you're doing now When we get near the end of the fall semester, we'll talk about winter. When we get near the winter, we'll talk about spring. And again, as we get close to the trip, we'll let you know. If you start looking ahead, again, you'll get ahead of yourself and you'll start missing assignments. Now, when you go to register for classes, the one thing that has to happen, because this program is very unique, no one can get into these classes but you. They're not going to fill up. The only way you get in is if I issue you a permit. In order to do that, we'll issue these permits kind of all around the same time. Now, some of you have already gotten into classes. We've issued permits early for financial reasons, and that's great. That's fine. Hopefully your employer is really willing to pay for part of your education. But normally what we'll do is I'll send this out, and there will be 40 students that we'll send permits for their specific classes. So don't worry. You're not going to not be able to get in the class. We'll get that worked out. Don't worry. Now, let's talk about books again. Hard copy versus electronic. That's going to be personal preference. In this program, I have both. I have hard copies for some. I have electronic copies for others. Probably I spend more time with the electronic copies because if I'm on the airline, if I'm on the plane, if I'm in the airport, if I'm on vacation, it's easy to pull it up on my phone, pull it up on an iPad. You have it in multiple access points. Traditional versus popular. You're going to see in this program, we use some traditional textbooks, but we also pull in other books. We pull in other textbooks, other popular books that are going to drive home specific points. And to be honest with you, it's really helped because we've taken a theory out of a textbook and put it into a popular book that drives it home and makes it real for you. And you can apply what's going on in that popular book into your life and your work environment. We're going to use journal articles. We're going to use magazine articles, newspaper articles. And again, all those are to help take the theory and the concepts in the textbook and make them real for things that you know what's happening in the world today. Bottom line is you're going to be reading a lot over the next 2 years. So if you're not a very competent reader, or you're not a very, if reading is not something that's fun to you, you're either going to learn to love it or you're going to just learn to hate it even more. But we're going to do it. We're going to do a lot of reading. And that's really one of the great characteristics of leaders is they're always looking to find what other people are doing and how they can take another concept that someone else has been successful with and apply it to their area. Now, I'm going to take this time now to recommend a book for you as we get started. The first year we had this included in the curriculum, and we've kind of taken it out because we just had too much. So any of you, I would encourage to get the last lecture. You can watch the video if you want, and it's about an hour and 15 minutes. But the book has a lot more information than the video does. There's a lot more chapters. The chapters, I think there's like 60 chapters, and most of them are just a page. So it's not a really thick book. You probably could read the whole thing at once. But there's a lot of great things said. Randy Pausch was a very intelligent man who, I'll let you read his story, but a lot of what he does has influenced me, and a lot of what he said has influenced me over the years. And so usually if I draw your name at Christmas, this is what you're going to get as a copy of this book. So I highly recommend it, and it's good to kind of get into the swing of things. Now, Desire to Learn, that's the platform that we use for all of our instruction. And so when you get into your classes, you're going to log in to elearn.etsu.edu, and when you get there, you'll log in, and D2L is pretty user friendly. You're going to be using it for the next 3 years. You're going to be able to find everything pretty easy, and if you can't, just let me know and we can help you. But the one thing that you're always going to want to keep abreast of, and it's going to be on the right-hand side of your screen, are your submission deadlines. Make sure that you check in the discussion board, the assessments, and the Dropbox, because all that information is going to be right there on your calendar, and you need to make sure that you hit those submission deadlines in order to get full credit for your assignments. Now, from a faculty standpoint, you have a great variety of faculty that are going to be working with you, and their goal is to teach you and push you, but they're going to help you. I mean, they all want you to be successful, and every one of you in this program are all type A, and there's nothing better as an instructor than to deal with a bunch of people who want to make an A. So again, go to our website, etsu.edu/globalsport, and you can look at the profiles of all our instructors, and their contact information is there, and feel free to contact them at any time that you'd like. Again, one thing I will say is if you have a question about a class, you can email me and ask me, but if I'm not teaching that class, the first thing I'm going to say is email your teacher first, the instructor of record. I'll do what I can, but let them know, because they need to know if there's an issue with the class or you have a question, because they may have an answer that is different than what I may have. Now, kind of wrapping this up, congratulations on being here in this program, because you're here and there's a lot of people that want these slots, and we don't just take anybody. So I look forward to working with each of you. And if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to contact me. I'll be sending out my personal cell phone as well as my email, so feel free to call me whenever. And I look forward to working with each of you. Thank you.